Okay, so this video is to show you how to retrofit a telemetry set that you perhaps have received or gotten from somewhere else or from us, but where the boat wasn't prepared for telemetry. So in essence, on this side of the boat we've got the fish finder antenna, on that side of the boat is telemetry. We've kept it standard that way. So this hole is already drilled, but I'm going to show you how to find that correct marking. You'd always use a piece of masking tape which you stick roughly over where you're going to be working, and then you'll use a straight edge essentially. Okay, in the previous video I showed you how to open this hatch or this inspection port, so that's already open. Now all that's required is for you to make a line basically through the center of the screw on this side and screw on that side. Make a line, and then through the center of the meter, exactly where the digits are, the center of the digits are, making sure that the straight edge follows the rest of the boat, and basically like that. So we've now got a mark. Okay, then you would drill a small pilot hole, possibly a 3mm hole, and then using a 6.5mm drill bit, which ideally shouldn't be very sharp. An old one is good because we tend to find that sharp bits chip the gel coat. So I'll just finish it as though there isn't a hole, but having drilled a pilot hole, I'll then put a 6.5 through there. That's it. And now you remove the tape, and now we're ready to install the cable. The cable is going to go, essentially has to go from there inside the side hole and arrive in this little control panel here. Alright, so we begin this way. Okay, start by getting this through the little hole. Oh, the important part is you need a washer on there before we begin. So we're going to stick the washer on like that. Okay, and then work your way forward or backwards and get that through there like that. Now on the outside we don't put a washer simply because of spacing. So it was going to work fine, you'll see how it works out. But you start by putting the nut on. Okay, now to get to tighten that, you're never going to over tighten this nut, you're just going to tweak it up. And once you've done that, you're going to put a spot of Loctite on that thread, or a little bit of super glue, just a dot inside there to run around, but only once everything has been mounted and we're happy. Alright, to get to tighten that nut correctly, you're essentially going to put that through a ring, 8-ring spanner, and you're going to bring that all the way inside. Okay, so after some fiddling, you basically get the ring to fit over the nut of the headed part of this threaded barrel, and then you use the second 8 spanner, the ring part, to nip it up. Now you obviously don't over tighten it. But you do tighten till it feels pretty firm, so it won't turn by itself. Over tightening it, you'll actually break the barrel. Still go a bit. Okay, that feels fine. Yeah, so it's actually fairly tight. Okay, so quite tight, so almost that you can't turn it without applying a lot of force. Alright, to remove that, now slide this back out along the cable. Okay, this is an important step, and that is to make sure that enough of this barrel is sticking out through the base for you to be able to screw the antenna on. Well, let me explain. The antenna is connected to you, so obviously there's a pin inside there, the female socket on this side, and the two have got to meet. So what you do is you put the antenna on now, and you take the base that is supplied, and you slide that underneath like that. As it turns out, this one here is actually a little too loose. So let me adjust. Okay, so the base that I had earlier had been sanded underneath, so not the correct one. Okay, so essentially what you need is that this base must just be able to slide under the antenna, it must touch, must actually flush just like that. So when this is fully tight and you push that, it should just be able to go underneath. That's it. Now we're happy with that. Now we remove the antenna and we're going to put a spot of super glue, and then we're going to mount the base with silicone. Okay, so tilting the boat just slightly, just put a drop of super glue, don't let it go onto the boat, but onto the threads only. It will run itself around if it's the thin type. It will act as Loctite. Okay, we're happy with that. Give it a wipe. Right, that's it. So now we're going to use the silicone. Silicone all around the base. Like so. Okay, and now we thread this base on. It's got to go on dead square. To be a firm fit, you have to work it down. Okay, work this down all the way. Obviously at some point the silicone is going to come out. It's going to affect your ability to grip the base. Okay, so at that point you take a cloth and wipe away the excess. Okay, now if you don't have fingers like a vice, this works fine too. A little piece of insertion rubber like that. Should do it this way since I'm working from this side. And then taking a small gas pump plier with the flat side towards the bottom, you can tweak it up like that. Right. If the rubber is getting in your way, you can do it like that and just grab it on the base itself. There we go, and that feels pretty tight. And I'll tell you a trick. If you've made a little burr on the plastic, you can use a lighter and just heat it up, and it will melt the burr back into place. There we go. Wipe it one more time, and again with some acetone. Just wipe up the base like that, clean everything off. Now this is a very important part, or a very important measurement, and that is that the height that the pillar sticks out above the base has to be at least 0.5 of a millimeter, 0.5 of a centimeter. Where's my vernier? Okay, so take it from across the top of the pin and measure down to the base, and we're looking at our 4 mils. Well, we know for a fact that it worked because we screwed the antenna on first and then we slid the base underneath, so around 4 millimeters is adequate. It's actually 3.5 minimum, so 4 will work fine. Okay, so that's what the base looks like, and now if you screw the antenna on, like so, it should seat. When it's fully tight, it will actually seat at the same time that it reaches the bottom of the barrel. The rubber boot will actually seal on the base, and that's your antenna. Alright, so what we have to do now is we have to get this cable fed through underneath, and it must arrive in this little box. So you need something like that, a bit of wire that's bent in an arc, and you're going to slide it in underneath the panel like that. and work it so that it arrives and comes out in the back here. Okay, now you take the connector and you're going to tape that there with a bit of masking tape and put it through. Make it quite tight so it doesn't slip off. There's actually not enough sticking through there. There we go. Okay, something like that. Okay, so now just gently feed the cable down. At the same time pull just gently, otherwise you pull it off the shaft. There we go. Yeah, that drops in there, it drops into the side hole. Right, this can come off now. Obviously we remove the tape and we're ready to do the fitting of the little telemetry radio. Remove the tape and it's now gone, will be gone shortly. Okay, so tape off and then you can just drop that in there like that. Okay, now we have to drill a hole through the back of this black box in the control panel for this cable to come through. And a distance of about roughly 3, just under 3 centimeters, in fact 2 centimeters, sorry, about 1.8 centimeters from this edge here, halfway down the box, out through the center. Liberty of drilling a pilot hole, exactly where I want it. So once again with the same 6.5mm drill bit, just careful of all wires, and basically you've got to poke it through the back here. And that's it. Clean up the burrs. I need another size. Got to go bigger. So having put a 3mm pilot, then a 6.5, and this one is what, about 10. Okay, 9.5. Hole. Okay, so actually a 9.5mm drill bit, and as before, basically avoid all the wires, and don't touch the boat, and just pop that through there like that. So now we have a aperture into our control box, exactly where this cable will pass through. And that should pop straight through there without any, there we go, straight through. And that's it, that's the biggest part of the job done. We're going to connect this to the telemetry radio and Bob's your auntie, your telemetry is installed. Okay, so this is the little telemetry radio. It's got this little interface cable which plugs in there, and that's got to be plugged in to the spot marked telemetry on your autopilot, depending which autopilot you've got, but they all say telemetry. And if you have a Bluetooth, if you previously had a Bluetooth, you unplug the Bluetooth module, and that's where you'll plug in your telemetry radio. Alright, so now you see I've arranged it. I've got some foam stuck on the bottom here, just because of the unevenness in the way the bottom of the panel looks. So in essence, you're going to peel that off. So now it's got some tack. You're going to screw your antenna on. There, make sure you tighten that firmly. Pull that back. And now place it in a position where it stands square. The cable is not being affected. The antenna cable is coming straight out. And what we do just to keep it in that position, is you would take a drop of super glue and just right there. So this is the thick super glue, so it doesn't run away immediately. And then you can use the catalyst to set it quickly. So so it will stay in that position. And that's it, it'll dry immediately, or enough for you to be able to work with it. You bring the cable around on this particular autopilot. This is a separate one. Okay, so this will go into the port marked telemetry on this side. Make sure you push it all the way until it clicks. There we go. And then just work your cable down so it's out of the way. Probably need a screwdriver to do that. There we go, something like that. And that's the installation of the telemetry. Take the cable, tuck it in behind the server, down the side wall. That's it. Neat and tidy. Telemetry is done. When you, okay, with no battery in now, but when you turn it on automatically, the telemetry will fire up and ready to work with your telemetry link.